There are objects in history that seem to defy not only human knowledge, but the very idea of understanding itself. Legendary swords, vanished relics, impossible machines, but none of them is as unsettling as a simple book. It doesn't glow, it makes no sound, it doesn't appear dangerous, and yet no one can read it. In a silent room at one of the most prestigious universities in the world, kept behind bulletproof glass and controlled lighting, rests a volume of just over 200 pages. There is no title on the cover, no author's name, no indication of language, only ancient parchment and 6 centuries of silence. This is the Voynich Manuscript, a book written by someone, for someone, in a language that simply does not exist. And the most disturbing part is not what it contains. It's the possibility that we were never meant to understand it. In the early 15th century, Europe was a continent haunted by disease, war, superstition, and fear. Science moved slowly, tangled with astrology, alchemy, and mystical belief. Knowledge was power, and power could kill. Books were not ordinary objects. Every page required hours of manual labor. Every volume was precious. To write something meant it had to survive. So if someone chose to create an entire book, hundreds of pages, using an unknown script, that person had an extraordinary reason. Centuries later, that reason remains hidden. The manuscript officially resurfaces only in 1912. Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish antiquarian specializing in rare books, visits the Jesuit college of Villa Mondragone in Italy. The religious order needed money and had quietly put part of its library up for sale. Among forgotten theological texts and scientific treatises, Voynich finds a volume that immediately captures his attention. The leather binding is worn, the parchment yellowed, but when he opens it, he sees something impossible. Not a single word is recognizable. The pages are filled with flowing, elegant, consistent symbols. They don't look like doodles, they don't look random, they look like real writing, but they match no known language. Voynich buys the book without hesitation. He knows he has found something extraordinary. What he doesn't yet know is that he has uncovered an enigma that would outlive every expert of the 20th century. When the manuscript begins circulating among scholars, the reaction is immediate. First, fascination, then confusion, and finally, absolute frustration. Linguists analyze word structures, statisticians study symbol frequency, historians search the illustrations for cultural references. Nothing works. The text behaves like a natural language, but corresponds to none. It has grammatical patterns, short and long words, repetitions typical of human speech, even variations that suggest syntax. But no translation is possible. It's like hearing someone speak fluently, in a language that does not belong to this planet. The illustrations deepen the mystery even further. The book is not just text, it is richly illustrated, and each section appears to address a different subject. The first part shows plants, but not ordinary plants. None match known species. Some look like impossible hybrids. Human-like roots, non-existent leaves, unnatural flowers. Botanists around the world have tried to identify them. They failed. If they are not real plants, why depict them in such detail? Another section presents complex circular diagrams resembling celestial maps or astrological calendars. Zodiac signs surround female figures as if representing cosmic or biological cycles. But the arrangement follows no known system. It isn't standard medieval astrology. It isn't astronomy. It is something close, but wrong. And then there are the images that disturb readers the most. Nude women, drawn in a stylized way, immersed in green liquids, connected by tubes, pools, and structures that resemble organic or mechanical systems. Some appear to participate in biological processes, others in rituals, others simply float in impossible environments. The tone is not erotic, not artistic in the classical sense. It is clinical, functional, almost experimental, as if the author were documenting something. But what? For decades, one theory gained strength. The manuscript might be a secret medical treatise. In the Middle Ages, medicine, alchemy, and magic often overlapped. Knowledge of herbs, anatomy, and substances could be considered dangerous or heretical. Encoding everything in an indecipherable language would be a perfect form of protection. The theory seems plausible, until new studies make the situation even more complicated. In the 1960s, cryptography experts, some of whom had broken Nazi codes during World War II, were invited to analyze the manuscript. If anyone could decipher it, it would be them. Months of intense work produced only one devastating conclusion. There is no clear sign of a conventional cipher. In other words, the text does not appear to be a simple coded message. It appears original, as if it were written directly in that language. But that creates an enormous problem. If it is a real language, where is the rest of it? There are no similar texts, no inscriptions, no historical references, nothing. It is a complete language that appears only once in history. As technology advanced, computers began analyzing the manuscript. Algorithms examined statistical patterns, trying to correlate the symbols with known languages. The results confirmed something unsettling. The text follows the mathematical laws of human language, but matches none. Not Latin, not Greek, not Arabic, not Chinese, not any living or dead language. It is linguistically plausible and completely isolated. In 2011, carbon-14 tests finally dated the parchment. Result: between 1404 and 1438, meaning the book was produced at the dawn of the Renaissance, long before Voynich found it, long before any possibility of sophisticated modern forgery. Someone truly wrote it more than 600 years ago, with real ink, on authentic parchment, without leaving a single clue to who they were. This leads to an inevitable question. Why? Why would someone spend years creating a massive book, impossible to read? Some suggest it was an elaborate hoax, designed to sell to a wealthy patron fascinated by exotic objects. But the complexity of the text makes that unlikely. There are no signs of mechanical repetition, no simplistic patterns. It would be the most labor-intensive fraud of the medieval world. For what purpose? Others believe the manuscript may have been created by an isolated individual, perhaps an eccentric scholar, an alchemist, or someone suffering from mental disturbances. A private language, a personal universe encoded on parchment. This theory is disturbing for another reason. It suggests the book may not have been meant for communication, but for isolation. An entire world sealed within itself. But there is an even more unsettling possibility. What if the manuscript is not a code meant to hide something, but a filter, a text designed to be readable only by someone with specific knowledge, perhaps lost, perhaps forbidden, perhaps deliberately erased from history, a key that vanished. Today, the Voynich Manuscript is kept in Yale University's Voynich Library. Anyone can see it. Researchers continue trying to decipher it. New theories emerge every year. None solve the mystery. It remains there, like an artifact out of context, a message without a recipient, a book without a reader. Perhaps the most disturbing thought is that the manuscript is not just a puzzle from the past, but a test, a silent proof that there are things in human history that were not meant to be understood by everyone, or perhaps by anyone. Because sometimes, the true power of a secret is not in being revealed. It is in remaining intact, crossing centuries, watching generations try and fail. Waiting, if you want to uncover humanity's forgotten secrets, subscribe to The Hidden, because some stories should never disappear, and some mysteries may only be beginning to be understood.